Pop in, say hi. If you've never been into one of my lives before, I am Cindy, and this is my live show, Chatters Live, because I have a crew that waits on me every Sunday. And it is my intent. I tell you, you guys would just be on the floor, just belly laughing, watching me scurry around in the last 5 or 10 minutes. My desk is, well, yeah, it's a pretty disaster, right? But I managed to make a cup of coffee, but then I made my cup of coffee and I realized I had refrigerator stuff in my granny wagon, right? One of those things you drag around with you with the wheels. They're so awesome. I take them to the grocery store all the time. And they have to be replaced every once in a while. But oh my goodness, anything that we can do to alleviate that impact on our body. I make jokes all the time with the customers that come to my store. I say, you guys wonder why you're all broken old men by the time you're 30. Because you work yourself physically to the bone, right? Right? And lots of us, like me myself, I love staying busy, and I know that right, it's just as wonderful to sit and look at a landscape, but to actually experience a landscape, right? Oh my goodness. I'm I'm unwinding from work. Give me a couple of minutes of just this bit of chatter here. Owen, Andrew, thank you for popping in tonight. Sorry I kept you waiting as usual, but I know you guys don't come in until 7:35 anyway, because you know that I'm not going to be there. And it's not my intent, right? Because it is on my mind. Goodness gracious, a few nights ago, I thought I had missed my Instagram show. I was putting on my pajamas. I stayed up late to do some dishes and clean up so that, the next day could really truly feel a little bit like a day off for myself. And yeah, it wasn't. Anyway, you guys, you don't want to hear me jibber jabbing. Let's hear about your week. How was your guys' week? Anything new? Anything exciting? Right? For me, that excitement is in what hasn't happened yet. Right? It's been very grounding for me when I'm in a little bit of that. When it gets close to my days off, it feels, or my holidays, it starts to feel a little bit like I'm running on fumes. And it's in the planning, and when I'm feeling draggish, or I'm tired from my work. Look at it, I haven't even taken my sunglasses off. I remembered to put the curtain up over the window, right? It would have been so bright you guys wouldn't have seen me tonight. Okay. Is the sound okay? Everything okay here? Let me have a sip of my coffee. I haven't even had a sip of my coffee. You guys, I hate to be selfish in this moment, but maybe you've got your own drink. See, I really wanted a coffee. This cup was dirty. I know it's not a very attractive cup, but it serves a decent serving for when I really want a cup of coffee, to enjoy a good cup of coffee, even if I only drink half of it, right? And okay, not trying to be wasteful. See these things that I always catch myself. I keep catching myself, and I make myself feel bad about it, right? But it was because the live shows are an hour and a half, and I know this coffee will at least be decently warm in even a half an hour from now. So I wanted to use one of my thermos mugs, but unfortunately, right, the color wears off pretty good on these mugs, and they're not super attractive. Oh, but I should tell you, you guys, one of my customers. He's part of the family, part of the community. He's a reseller, right? And yeah, super nice guy. And he pops in to look for little treasures. He likes the sporting goods stuff. He knows sporting goods pretty good, so he does pretty good with the sporting goods. But he knows I broke the handle on my favorite coffee mug, which was my Bubba mug. You might have seen it in some of my videos on my trip into Ontario last year in my September trip. It was my favorite mug. I absolutely loved it. And one side of the handle broke and it wasn't stable enough using the handle anymore. And I don't do this with my coffee cups. So I was kind of disappointed, but he went out and he found me a brand new Bubba mug and he brought it in for me. Beautiful color, right? And I've had it for about a month now, right? But I haven't used it. I want to save it for my trip. It's my trip cup. And once I'm home from my trip, I'll use it. But it was really nice of him to keep his eye open for me. And then he brought it in and I gave him a big hug because, he went out of his way, right? That's like kindness, to think of things. My sister Tracy's that way, she thinks of what would you like? What would put that look on your face, right? And she was really pretty magnificent. She wanted to always know what would make you happy. Like I got those avalanche boots that I really, really wanted, but they were so expensive. And because I don't buy new, that it had to be a gift, right? Because $220 they cost new, but I don't buy new. I only buy thrifted and secondhand, right? So I would have never have gotten another pair of those magnificent boots that I had. But I do take gifts, and my sister at Christmas time, she got me my avalanche boots. And it's just so wonderful the way she gives you, like it's a true Santa Claus, right? Because she gives you what you ask for. And I always, when she tells us she wants a list, she's really sneaky. She let the cat out of the bag this year. My sister said that I'm the only one whoever gives the Christmas list, right? My sisters, my nieces, my nephews, like nobody is handing in their list. And she's putting the pressure on me. She'll send me emails every 48 hours, right? To say, is your list in? Oh, I guess you want a toaster for Christmas, right? And so I always feel bad that I'm falling behind and I'm not meeting her deadline, and I don't want to disappoint my sister. But she doesn't give us any rules. She just says, what do you want for Christmas? What's on your Christmas list? I want the Christmas list. And so I put different things with different, right? Because I don't know what the price ranges are with her, right? In the moment she's struggling, but she's a smart lady and she's going to be on her feet really, really, really fast. And things turn around all the time, and I feel that swing for her, right? It's just about, lots of times when you're really, really down, it's hard to feel really, really happy. But a birthday, well, it's her birthday coming up this week, you guys. So we're giving her a balcony makeover. So I don't know if she'll like it, but it'll be comfortable for her, and it'll be a lot better than the kitchen chair she has out on her balcony right now, right? And we'll do all the work. She doesn't have to do anything except go out there and enjoy it. So yeah. But yeah, my sister is very generous that way, and yeah, very thoughtful. But people are like that, and that puts, you know, people recognize a true kindness like that when you think, you know, we all go at each other's throats, right? It's part of that learning process, and we offend each other. We right. Sometimes there's a lot of control. I come from a very independent, uniquely dynamic family. And, we all have a bits of our mother and we all have a bits of our father. And we all rub each other a little bit differently. But we're family, and it could have very, very easily been a different story. When I turned 18, my family was all moving to Manitoba. The plan was for me to move into an apartment with one of my friends from high school. We were getting an apartment together. I had a hope chest full of stuff. Right, I ended up giving it to my high school friend, and I said I'm going to Winnipeg. I asked my dad, said go talk to mom, see if it's okay, because my mom ruled the coop, right? And listening every day since I was 12 years old. I can't wait until the day you turn 18. You're so out of my house. every day, every day, right? So I knew it would have to be a decision by her. So I was grateful that she said, yeah, I can come to Winnipeg. So at the very least, I was able to keep those relationships with my sisters. I'm originally from Vancouver, British Columbia, and now live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I don't know, I don't think I could have possibly moved anywheres that suited me, that I so needed to be. All so many wonderful memories here, so many amazing people, and that's what this province has above any other province, I think, is that actual caring that we were talking about, of of the people around us. Like, you can truly feel the kindness, and nothing like a true kindness. Nothing like being out on the highway at 40 below zero, right? A big storm, and your car breaks down, right? You pop the hood, you open the door, and by the time you've opened the door, there's like three other cars pulling up behind you to help you with whatever problem that you've got, making sure that you're getting home safe. That's the community that we have here in Manitoba. Hello, everybody. Hello, William. I hope everybody is having a great week. Hope everybody is having a great week. If you haven't met my crew yet, these are some of my moderators. These are the guys, but we do have a few women as moderators here. These guys have been with me for years, and there are a few people like Robert. If you're here tonight, just give you a shout out and say hi. Don't I know you don't always pop into the lives and the conversations, but I know you do come in and watch them. And Sharon, I know Sharon pops in, right? Watches the lives. Kathy on occasion will come in, right? When she can't come into the lives personally, but she comes in lots, right? And then there's Nancy, who pops in. Oh my goodness, what a character that Nancy is. I tell you, she's living her best life. Even when her life is, she's living her best life. And that's one thing you've got to say about, that's one thing you've definitely got to say about Nancy. I love Nancy. Yeah. She doesn't rub me in any way negatively. Oh, good job, Owen. My work week went fast, but I did everything I could to make sure the place looked half decent, right? I want to make sure that I do a good job in these shifts that I take on there. and to concentrate on those shifts and not let my well, sometimes I have these conversations at work. I have lots of amazing people who walk in and out of the door, and again, I'm grateful for the customers I have that appreciate me, and they show me in those kindnesses of coming to search me out to say hello, or right, to make inquiries about my trip in September. I understand. I'm probably right. I'm pretty exhausted, and I am running on those fumes. That trip is is coming up. Is coming up no matter what, right? The we're working on the gas right now, and that should be taken care of shortly. I've already taken care of all the accommodation except for the Herkimer Diamond mine, and I'll be probably paying for that when I go there and just pay for it with American money, right? So I'll stop off at the bank before I head out, and I'll exchange some money. I'm looking forward to my trip, and I know I'm probably yapping about it lots, but it is the evidence, isn't it? People say, I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. I can't take the time to do that. But there are lots of ways to make the time to do that. I worked all year, and part of my wage goes towards my vacation, so that, right, I get my 2 weeks vacation and I don't skip a paycheck, right? And that's the privilege of working. But if you want these things, you say I can't afford it. Well, say go get a job, right? Start saving. Wait till you see the videos, you guys. I'm gonna right every year. I'm getting better and better in the videos of my adventures, and I try to make them wonderful, right? In respect to how far I've come along, right? So I want to make sure that I'm not in competition with myself, and I don't want to be in competition in my with myself, because right now, right, the lessons that are coming across my path is, in that self-sabotage, because as I get closer to the trip, I get a little bit nervous, right? It's exciting. It's right. What's the hiccup? What's the wrench? Is it possible? Did I forget anything? Right? Oh, right. And this is why I spent so much time working on it. Besides the fact that as I'm working on it for months, right, I do in that daydreaming, I'm jotting notes, and right now things are a little bit tighter. When I first start, things end up with a big jumbled mess and everything, but now it's all neat and tidy and in its right place, right? So everything's highlighted and extra space for each location I'm at, so that I can make little notes or put receipts, or right, right. So you never know, or phone numbers, names and phone numbers. So right, because I expect that I'm going to have interactions, that people are going to come across my paths, and we are going to have experiences, right? So I think this is part of the privilege of being able to create these magnificent vacations for myself, and it is something to be proud of, and anybody can do it. I work part-time in a little thrift store that puts the roof over my head, but I've worked my life in a way that accommodates the time to plan a trip like this, right? Plus keep moving forward, right? Right? Making that movement for myself, and keeping my brand, right? Keeping my brand and expanding in my brand, right? And having these amazing conversations with these amazing people who've been hanging out with me, right? And so diverse, everybody with different tastes and different interests, right? I haven't even had a sip of my coffee yet. I said I was going to take a moment to have a sip of my coffee. William, I'm trying to go to sleep early too now. Um, right? I'm not succeeding in that. In fact, I think I'm probably up an extra half an hour. I know I'm tired because I look at the clock and I go, oh, just a little bit more, right? So I've got to learn when to shut it down, but I have to start shutting it down right away because remember last year, like I said, last year I went on this trip and then I was right. It's pitch black. You're out in the wilderness. It's pitch black. Besides the campfires between the bushes, that look at me, not even pitch black. So I was in the truck, right, cozied up, and I went to sleep. But because I went to sleep too early, I woke up way too early. I was awake at 3 o'clock in the morning most nights. I didn't sleep all the way through. 3 o'clock in the morning. And another thing I didn't know that I know this time. Remember those things that my back tires drive onto to balance me? I didn't know that also contributed last year when I was sleeping because I wasn't right. I was either going in or I was going this way, right? So now I understand I have to level out one of my tires or both of them depending where I am. I picked a few electrical sites. Oh no, I didn't. I only got one electrical site 3 days in just to charge up all my gear again properly. I know I'm charging as I'm driving, lots of USBs and stuff in the nice vehicles that I rent. Right? I rent the nicest vehicle I can get my hands on. I don't know what I'm gonna get. I'm just going to tell them what I want, which is the very best that I could see. The price just went down $100 for fall, right? So instead of paying that because I had already allotted that money, right? But now it's $100 less. What I'm going to do is use that $100 and put it towards an extra day. So I'll have the car for 2 weeks and 1 day because I like to leave the car like I got it. I usually keep it that way, right? And especially when it's not mine. I hope it's something that I wish was mine. I had the Jeep last year. If you guys haven't watched or joined us on those trips that I do every September, those series are on my YouTube channel. I'm not sure if the first year I put them on. I better look because that's a playlist I can put up and put together. Yeah, for sure. So I'll have to take a look at that because I've been doing this for a while, and like I said, every year it's getting better and better. Right? Going to take my metal detector. I'm going to see if I can get a bottle dig in because, right? And an urban explore of an abandoned mine, you guys, right? Because where I'm going in northern Ontario, there's a lot of abandoned mines because in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they were going for the silver and the gold, right? And then I'm going to take my metal detector because this was a neat story. Because the the miners used to get big chunks of gold out of the mine and they would steal it. There was so much gold when they would get pieces, they would just take it. At first, the mining companies would do things like put showers in, and then they would have street clothes on one end of the shower and their work clothes on the other. So nothing from the mine could leave the mine. Right, but people were being creative and finding new other ways to hide hide the gold, right? But what they would do is they would bring it into Toronto and they would sell the gold. And the police would have little on the intersections of the roads, like catching speeders. They would catch these people because they would go as a family on Friday and say, oh, we're going to Toronto for the weekend, but really they're going to sell their gold. And they would catch them at that intersection, and they would think they were speeding or they did something wrong or there was a stop sign or something, right? And they would stop, and you don't mess with the cops, especially when you've got stolen gold on you. But sometimes they would know that the cops were there, the lights would start going on or something, and they'd be screaming at the wife and the kids, throw that gold out the window, throw it out the window, throw it. There's cops up there, right? So if I thought that if I took my metal detector, that maybe, right, I should check these intersections, right, to see if there's any gold, because it would be pretty hard to find a nugget. I mean, they wouldn't have had metal detectors, right? They wouldn't have been able to find a way because they would have thrown it on the side of the road. It would have ended up in deep, long grass or in the trees or in the bushes or whatever. So, yeah, so if they did that, yeah, Cindy's all about spending a little bit of time seeing if she can track down. I wonder if it would still be considered stolen gold or if it would be finders keepers. Wow. We'll worry about that when I find the gold, right? You did another you did another sermon there, William. My subject was answer the voice of God, harden not your heart. Oh, really? That's a nice one, William. And that's a verse. Do not harden not your heart. Hmm. I believe we should stay soft, you guys. We're living in a pretty hard world right now, aren't we? But every generation had its hard times. It's just different struggles, right? Different problems. But we're still here, right? Right? Oh my goodness, I'm grateful I dropped into this day and age that I'm able to sit here with you guys and possibly on a different part of the continent or a different continent altogether, right? And we're able to have these conversations, that we're able to connect this way. Oh my goodness, right? Kind of gives you that quote, right? You What you don't know doesn't hurt you, right? But you got to think that, right? You guys imprint on us, right? Or on each other. We imprint on each other. Yeah. I think it's pretty neat, you guys. But yeah, stay soft. So what route did you take that, William? What route in your conversation? What direction? Mm. Oh, I'm so grateful for my cup of coffee. I was ready to sit down and have a cup of coffee. My air conditioning has been struggling. Seems to be doing okay in the moment. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It is what it is. I'm good to go with whatever, right? I might even go for a walk. No, maybe not. My feet are done, right? When I give my feet thought, my feet are done. I don't like to have sore feet. Lots of people, they work all day with sore feet. I suspect Andrew is not always not aching when he's at work, but sometimes in that dependability, that reliability, that stubbornness in us that says, right, this is not taking me down. Sometimes we show up a little bit tougher, right, than we should. It's been a lesson for me, right? This September trip, I tell you, it makes up for any poopy thing that happened this year, right? This is going to be right, and already like because I know that's my high for the year is the trip. So what I'm doing right now is right the direction that I'm going, how my the changes within my brand, how that's going to work out. I'm not sure if I'm going to go live every day, right? I kind of built this routine of going live every day, and in me I feel that, at some point that people will have that to rely on, right? On their bad days. And I'd like to think I'm coming out of codependency, that I'm able to make some good choices about the direction that I want to go in, and how I want to spend my money, or how I want to earn my money, right? And how I want to work that schedule. And if I want to work my schedule a certain way, what am I willing to sacrifice, right? Am I willing to sacrifice my fancy coffee and my unfancy coffee mug? I am, right? It is that compromise. It is the push and pull. Because the push and pull shows us where the problems are. It always does. Mm, oh my God. I don't have too much in my show and tell box, because I'm trying to cut down because of my trip. Also, because I do treat myself to a coffee. I like my Tim Hortons coffee or my McDonald's coffee. When I go to work, I always take a coffee with me. And I'm in a points program, and I haven't, and it's my only card that I use. It's on my phone, but it's my only points program that I join, because that's my private. But I think, that being an it girl when it comes to my love of coffee and a good cup of coffee. But do you notice I'm not saying Starbucks. Starbucks is way too strong for me. Oh boy, that's some strong cup of coffee. But I do love the McDonald's coffee, and I do love the Tim Hortons coffee. They're both good coffee, especially if they're freshly brewed. And I had one of those freshly brewed coffees today. But why was the points, you guys? I've been collecting points so that my coffees on my trips, because Tim Hortons is really popular in those small towns and in those small cities that I will be passing by on my trip. I'm actually going to reroute, not long, I think a half an hour or so, just to go into the city of Dauphin, just to maybe pick up a couple of fresh refrigerator uh, groceries and a bag of ice. First few days, I don't worry about the refrigerator because it's good to go, because I freeze bottled water, and because I don't drink the bottled water after it's thawed out, because when you freeze them, it pulls the plastic into the water, so there's plastic particles in the water, so it's not good to drink the water once they're frozen. And but they're really great for freezing and just throwing in with your groceries, and just let them thaw out naturally. And then I use that water to wash my face and wash my hands, right? Right? Maybe to rinse my dishes. or whatever on my trip. I don't know if I'm going to do like breakfast every single day, um, only because of my normal life. I don't do breakfast every day. It's different if I'm gone for, a few days or a week. I'll do that extra preparation, and I'll do that extra treating myself on that. But I think because this trip is 2 weeks long, that it'll be maybe a little bit more sporadic. But like I said, I got my favorite breakfasts no matter what. When I go camping, I have my fruit pancakes. I like fruit pancakes. And then I have another one because I have the pancake mix. I have the pancakes and sausages. I have that breakfast with the eggs, right? And then I have a bacon and egg breakfast, and then I usually have a sausage biscuit breakfast, right? So if that's 5 breakfasts that I do, I think 5 breakfasts is good. And then sometimes maybe I'll make sandwiches for lunch, find myself a nice landscape, right? You guys can watch me eat my sandwich, right? And it's not a matter of, right, to, because lots of people don't do what I do. Like my friends and my family and my coworkers, they all think I'm cuckoo that I go off on these trips by myself every year. Truly, they think I'm cuckoo, right? And my sister's like, email me every day, text me, let me know your. I never talk when I'm on my vacation. I'm on my vacation. If I get to a Tim Hortons and I want to go in and sit at a table, or I've had an interaction and I'm talking to somebody and I sit down, that sometimes I'll use that opportunity to send pictures or a message, or do a little live video, or do a little Instagram video, right? But basically if I'm going to post, it's basically just going to be on the Instagram that I'll be posting on during my vacation. Like I said, this vacation is for me, right? It's 100% for me. But there's so much extra rewards in that vacation I'm putting together. Like you guys are going to be so proud of me. You guys are going to be out there and planning your own little adventure, right? Whether it's a few days or a week, right? Or 2 weeks. Maybe you'll take off for 6 months. Maybe you're just going to, right? Take your bag with the stick, right? That stick with the bag on the end, and you're just going to hop a train like Nancy and right? We never see you again. You'll just be a traveling man. Nancy used to do that. She used to jump trains, and because she was a female, the conductors would let her jump the trains quite often, and they liked her too. Well, I guess they liked her because she was a female, right? That was before she lost the use of her legs there. Okay. You go get him, William. Don't wait for Andrew to come in. Don't wait for Andrew to come and find you, right? Some people are just not technically inclined that way, or, right? Lots of times, especially for me, I get messages all the time on my Instagram. And lots of times I don't even know them, right? But you learn, and Andrew, right? So just go find him. He'll recognize you when you pop in, right? And then he can listen to your sermon. He'll locate you eventually, William. I'm not sure if I'm subscribed. I don't hang out on Facebook, you guys. It's a really bad platform to kind of get a hold of me unless I recognize you. Well, like you guys, I would recognize you, right? But you're right, unless I recognize you, um, I'm right? I'm not probably going to be in there answering inquiries on that. The best way to get a hold of me, you guys, is on Instagram. I really love the Instagram. I know it's the same company, but it's different, right? It's a different community altogether. I really like Instagram. Just message me. You can get lots of ways to get a hold of me. Or you can write me a beautiful letter like Andrew does. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Right? That letter is coming, Andrew. Don't expect it right away, but I'm going to get cracking. I'm putting it on my to-do list. And yeah, maybe I'll do like you do, Andrew, where I can just kind of chunk it off and just have little conversations here and there. I do love writing, but right, sometimes there's always something something else to do. And it's not something better to do. It's just something else to do. You just say, "Oh," just like Andrew said, "I'll find you eventually, William." It's kind of like that same idea. Tomorrow. Okay. And that's been coming across, that lesson has been coming across my path. You guys, if you feel the hunch to do something, I say, I say do it, right? I think right now we need to occupy ourselves, keep ourselves busy because there's a lot of attention catching stuff going on in this world, and it's caught me a few times. I can't believe what happened with Trump, right? Get this conversation in fast before Melvin gets in. Just teasing. If Melvin's out there, we're just teasing. Yeah, but I couldn't believe, that could have happened. That people, right? Like that's I just don't see the reasoning in that, right? What right does anybody have to do something like that? It doesn't matter what the reason what the reason is, right? What the reason is. I'm not truly an eye for an eye kind of person. I do believe there are consequences and retribution for the things that we get wrong. Lots of times when I have those little trip ups or that wrench gets thrown in the engine and why did that happen? And then you just say, for something, you got away with something, right? And it's just catching up. Don't argue with it. Just recognize, right? And just see if you can figure out what it was that kind of was that was that wrench, right? Somebody's sending me messages. I suspect that might be Nancy. Let's see. Nancy likes to send me pictures. Oh, William sent me a picture. Okay. Here you go, Andrew. Man. See, William had to come and get you. This is William, you guys. Oh, that was nice of you. to let me share that. Cool dude, isn't he a cool dude? Right? And he's a pastor, reverend. What do they call you, William? What is your title? I'd like to know your title. We do have a Franciscan monk. I think that's pretty cool, right? It takes all kinds to make the world. It truly does, right? This is not a place anybody from any kind of denomination should ever have a worry about anything, right? Because you know it's all about those standards and those base values that we have, the way that we move, right? That we pick up these amazing characters, right? Amazing characters who are just bumbling along in their lives, right? Just like we are, right? Just like I am. Thank you, William. That was really reverence. I've never heard of that one before. Reverence Griffin, or Reverence William Griffin, or Reverence William, or William Reference. What is the exact what is the exact terminology? Reverence. I never heard of that one before. I'm waiting for your answer, William. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you guys, right? That says something about this relationships that we have here. It was just a couple of weeks ago that I was sitting here, and I got home from work, and I was literally going like this, and I was dozing off. And remember, Kathy messaged me, and she goes, "Oh no, it wasn't that. I wasn't dozing. Well, I was dozing off, but it was a statutory holiday. It was a day off from work, and I didn't realize it was Sunday, and I totally forgot it was Sunday." And Kathy messaged me, "We're waiting for you, Cindy. We're waiting for you." And I went into instant 100 miles an hour. You thought, right? But everything just went click, 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 click. I couldn't believe I totally forgot that it was my live show. So yeah, she made it so I never missed a live. I bet you I would have, no question, I would have remembered. I think probably within the hour, I would have been into something that had dates or something. And, or one of my favorite people who usually upload on Sunday. And then, oh my goodness, they're not usually on Sunday, right? And then you have to rush, which is what I did. Made a cup of coffee and rushed into my live, and you guys were so amazing. You all showed up anyway when I was so bad. I try, you guys, right? I try. That's what I can say. And it's funny because I talk about it all the time. I've never missed a day of work in my entire life. I have always showed up for the job. I have never not shown up. Now, being late, yeah, on occasion, I am late, and I don't give that enough consideration because I kind of just chalk it up to say, "But I'm so amazing. Why are you cranking at me because I'm 2 minutes late? I'm so amazing." I don't say that, right? But like highly sensitives and empaths, this is a very common trait is we over give, and we overwork, and we over uh, uh, it's not compromise, it's compliment. Oh no, that's not the word I'm talking about either, right? But we're very accommodating, That was the word I was looking for. You can see how I got mixed up with accommodating. Thank you. we're very we're very accommodating, and sometimes, right, that can be a lot. Methodist, I was brought up in a Methodist denomination. Pastors were called reverend at the church, and I now attend, I call the pastor Bob. And then they refer to you as reverence. Oh, you spelt reverend wrong. Okay, I've heard of reverend. Thanks, William. I know what a reverend is. And I think my mother had us in Methodist church. Um, yeah, some of these gospel churches. I had my mother's cousin was a pastor, and his job was to build the congregation up in churches that were struggling in attendance. And he would had a school bus, and he would pick all us kids up and our mums, and right, dad never came to he I not once not once did my dad ever go to church, right? No, I don't think so. Maybe when he got married, but I think he got married possibly in a community center. He had one of those all at one things. But yeah, my dad never went to church. But he would take us to all these different churches, and we would all pile out to build the attendance up and make it a little bit more lively. So other people, because people were just dwindling away because it wasn't interesting. There was no interaction. There was, because it's a network, it's a social group, right? It's a community. And when there's nobody attending, that's not a community. So they wanted to build the attendance up. We did a lot of those churches. My great uncle, my mom had four girls, so right, and her, she loved going to church. She loved Jesus, right? She wasn't quite sure what denomination Jesus was, but she loved Jesus 100%. And yeah, we went to a lot of different gospel, a lot of different evangelical. We went to a lot of Jehovah Witnesses. Oh my goodness, we did the Jehovah Witness so many times, and that one was scary. As kids, she would have my youngest sister in her arms because she was still a baby, and she'd be on my mom, and the baby would be on the other side of the street, and me and my sisters, other two sisters, we would be on the other side of the street, and we had to knock on the door and see if anybody would want to talk to my mom, right? And that was what we had to do. And people were so mean to sick their dogs on us, throw things at us, yell at us. It truly traumatized me. That was an experience, right? That was definitely experience, and I was glad that she gave up on the Jehovah Witnesses, because I, no offense to the Jehovah Witnesses, it just was not my thing. That was a very traumatizing experience, especially for little kids. We were all very young, right? 6, 7 years old. We were all very, very young. Yeah, it, it happens, and it's the silly things that traumatize us sometimes, right? Because my mother never knew that was going to affect us in our adulthoods. How could she know that? And if we didn't knock on those doors, all we're thinking about is, oh my goodness, we're going to get a tanning when we get home, or right, moment we cross the street and meet her, we're going to get whacked upside the head, right? We listen. My mom said, do that. You did that. You didn't say boo. Right? At least not verbally, right? You can think all you want. Yeah, it's funny, some of those conversations that we have with ourselves, but also those misunderstandings, right? Because there were a lot of misunderstandings, I think, in my family, because everybody had their own story, everybody had their own idea, everybody was an independent in their own person. Each one of my sisters, my mother, my father, all of us, even nieces, my nephews, they're super. Yeah, we're solid that way, right? And we're smart. I have to say that as a spectator. I have to say that because you know, right? I look at my sisters and I think they really right for the life that we had, we could have really messed things up. My dad truly could have messed things up, and you got to give credit where credit due because my mother really saved the day most of the time because my mother worked in a hospital. She made good money, right? My dad was frivolous and living in the moment, right? He lived day to day. He didn't live for tomorrow. He didn't know he was going to have a tomorrow, so he was going to suck everything up this moment, and that unfortunately put our family in a lot of sticky situations quite often, right? It happened quite often. 1903, that's an old church. Like the building itself, that's an old church, William. Canada was just starting to get a little bit of grip, right? Where the population was starting to build up a little bit, that little communities were being building by that time. I think it was around 1895 when people really started rolling in here to Canada. And each province, catered because they wanted to make sure that the communities where you were from that you lived in a similar landscape if you wanted to, right? If you were from Switzerland or Norway, they'd want you to be in British Columbia, right? In the mountains, skiing and promoting Canada and tourism and stuff, even back then, right? And it was a beautiful place from day one, right? I don't I miss the beauty of Vancouver because those mountains, to wake up in the morning and look out at those mountains when you walk out the door, no matter where you were, was absolutely an experience every single day. And the rain too. Not everybody loves the rain, but I love the rain. And even as a child, I appreciated the rain. The rain didn't bother me none. It never did. Oh well, that's good. I just thought there was a different name, right? Like when you assign a title, it was a different title. I thought reference, and I thought, oh, it's a somebody who assists the reverend. I thought, but that's pretty cool, William. I'm glad you did that. That's something to be very proud of, that achievement. Are you going to expand any more, William? Are you going to take any more classes? Are you going to maybe join some conventions or learning networks to advance a little bit in what you're doing? You have such a personality, William. I think you would be really good at traveling. I think, if they gave that job like my uncle had, like a somebody to go and build the attendance in the churches, you would be just the person to do that. You're such a friendly, kind, right? Funny guy, right? That you could do it, William. Do you drive, William? Can I ask, do you drive? It's one thing, I'm always grateful that I kept my driver's license, even as hard as it was, right? To stay straight and narrow when everything around you was just absolutely crashing. But I'm so glad that I kept my passport going, that I kept my driver's license going every year, right? that I actually kept the practice of driving, even though I didn't have a vehicle. I go off on these little thrifting adventures with my sister, so I get to drive then, and also um, uh, these trips that I do in September, I get to rent something really nice, and it gives me that experience that this is my life, and I'm supposed to feel the life that I wanna have, right? But my life is whatever adventure I'm on in the moment. I'm just an experiencer in my life, in all honesty, right? A visualizer, experiencer. And what I'm experiencing and what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling, right? Where that information came from or where it's going, I have no idea. But I'm enjoying my life to the very best that I can. Right? And I'm doing it, you guys. I'm doing it. Those stress levels are almost nil, right? Almost nil. But I got to be careful about that because those emotions keep you on alert. Those emotions are the stoplights, yellow light, green light, red light. Those signals that we get to say everything's okay or right or something's up. Okay. Well, we use the term minister, reverend, elder. Oh, elder's a good word, but elder, you don't want to be called elder, right? When I always know an American when they come into the store or when I bump into them on conversations, I always know an American because an American will always call you ma'am. Always call me ma'am. I could be 14 years old and he would still call me ma'am. Here in Canada, when you refer to somebody as ma'am, it's kind of like nanny, like grandma, like granny, right? That's ma'am is kind of referencing somebody's old. So women here, they don't prefer to be called ma'am. It's very polite, right? I noticed when I was married to my husband, his all his friends were the military, and every once in a while they would do trade offs, and the Americans would come up for training, and I get to meet them or serve them at the bar, or right, or they would be hanging out with my husband, and I end up cooking for them and stuff. But always that politeness of ma'am. Do you guys use the terminology ma'am at all? You guys, is that something you use when you go to the store or right? Give somebody your seat on the bus or some kindness that you do. Do you ever reference ma'am, or is that like a northern states kind of trait? Yeah, let me know. Oh, you do use ma'am all the time. It is very, very respectful. I have to say that. Like I said, I was married into the military, and those Americans would come up and they would go ma'am, ma'am. And it was very sweet when the army guys would do it because they're so tough, right? Like they're, right? Don't mess with me or I'm going to take your face and I'm going to, right? Like tough. And then they go, "Oh, ma'am, let me get that for you." And are just like, "Oh my goodness," right? Oh. Right? It's just because you don't expect that kind of tenderness, that kind of softness, right? Look how the conversations this topic has been coming into the conversation. Not just tonight in this live show, and that I think it's like third or fourth time already, right? About that kindnesses, right? in moving with others and understanding that, right, everybody's unique. Everybody everybody is different. Everybody has good qualities, everybody has bad qualities. And truly nothing is unforgivable if it's asked in genuineness to be forgiven, right? Because at the very least, that means somebody believes in something else. That somebody, right? That you got to be pretty low to pretend, right? Because that would be just adding salt to somebody's wound, and that, right? I suspect that it does happen, right? But that kindnesses to each other, right? Very grateful for the amazing people that have stumbled into my life, right? That I found that kindness in unique and amazing people who I would never have thought would even have wanted to hang out with me, that I was ever worthy to hang out with them, right? And yet I created this amazing life for myself. So, as much as there was stinky stuff going on, there's good stuff going on too. And sometimes, right, we cling too hard to the stinky stuff that we don't even appreciate the amazing things that come across our paths, right? Like you guys, like my trip in September, like the job that puts the roof over my head, right? And this brand that I'm able to show up live, right? Fresh like a loaf of bread. Practice my craft. You never know what comes across your path. You never know what comes across your path. Just create small wonders for yourself. Whatever you want to do, you guys. Right? Don't do the same old. And I have people in my life right now taking my advice and they're really enjoying it, right? But it is important to move towards what makes you happy, that what makes you feel of value, right? That's important. A little bit of self worth. Hey, um, the founder of our church is a woman. Her name is Mother Mary Magdalena Tate. She was born 1871. She passed in 1930. So at 61 years old. Wow. Uh, Indiana is considered to be a northern state, but my part of Indiana culturally is more like the South. So that may be at least part of why we say ma'am. So it is a South thing. In general, it's a South thing. That's really interesting. I love history, you guys. William, especially, right? When you talk about your church being built in 1903. Was the church I don't think the church was built in 1903. Didn't you say it burnt down or it got destroyed in a flood or something and they rebuilt it? William, didn't you tell us a story about that one night? Let me know in the comments. But it seems to me that I remembered that you told us that this was the second church on that spot. That the first church, something happened to the first church. The sun is going down now. We got the smoke coming in from forest fires going on in Alberta and British Columbia right now. Um, yeah, I'm not thinking about the fire issues. I am not watching anything in the news something comes across my path with flames, I'm not taking a look at it. I'm just going to bypass to the next video because, right, my trip in Ontario, because I know last year when I booked my camping spots, there were some places that I couldn't camp at because of the forest fires. This year, I'm able to camp at them, but this year also, a few of those parks that I'm camping at this year are closing that same week. So I'm camping the very last week of the season as they shut down for winter or shut down for cleanup so that they can get the ski trails ready for winter. So yeah, so it's pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about my trip, you guys. I'd like to share more of the dates and the plans and all that, but this is an experience for me, and it'll make for a better surprise for you guys too when I come back and make my videos. And if you would do me a favor and hound me, right? Is that video ready, Cindy? Are you working on that video yet? How's the editor? We're expecting a video, right? Because I know once I start the process of getting the videos up, then they'll continue because I'm that person. I'll just continue to put it's just that first initial let's get this done, the first little bit of boot in the butt. So Owen, William, Andrew, I'm gonna leave that in your hands to make sure that you get me motivated when I get home to share my experience. I'm sure I'm going to be excited to share my experience when I get home with you guys. I don't know. First few days, my last few days, my days off, I might totally flake, might end up staying in my bed for 3 days. I have no idea. I know there have been years where I've come home from my big trip and I've been sick right away, that I got sick right away when I got home, just from that extra exertion and effort that you put in to make sure that everything is going to plan or close to it, right? And I'm doing it more this year to plan than I did last year. I'm practicing, right? I talk about baby steps, but in the planning, right? It's the perfect place to practice the baby steps, right? And it's working. I'm getting stuff done, and it's giving me something to do to make sure that I am busy with, right, creating my outdoor, right, for my brand, Prairie Dodgers. So yeah, pretty happy about it. But I don't know what kind of vehicle I've got for this trip. I'm just going to leave it to the dealership, and I'm going to use the dealership that I used to use. I only used the last dealership because they had my truck, right? I really wanted the Jeep Rubicon. I really wanted it really bad, right? And I put up a fuss when they tried to get out of it. They got their money, and just as my sister was coming to get me so we could go and pick up the truck, they phoned me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that truck for you." "Oh, you better have that truck for me. I'll be on corporate. And I'm bawling my eyes out. And then I hung up. "Have a nice day. Refund my money. I'll go to my dealership. I'm sure they've got something that will do. I can't believe this happened." Like I said, I'll talk it over with corporate. Nothing I could do. You don't have the vehicle for me. You don't have the vehicle for me. I got a day to get on the road. Sorry, bye. And I hung up. 5 minutes later, they phoned me back and they said, "We got your Jeep. Can you give us 20 minutes? We'll deliver it to you even. Right? Can you give us 20 minutes?" I says, "I'm coming out there to get my truck. Don't worry about coming and bringing it to me." "Yes, please. I'd like to have my truck." But by that time, that's the day I was leaving for my vacation, and I was already wired, and already the wrenches were being thrown into the inner engine. So I suspect that this year will be no different. I will be prepared emotionally for anything, and I'll just right work it out the best that I can, knowing right this vacation is happening no matter what. Okay. Okay, here's some of the history of my church, Cindy and Andrew. St. Mary Magdalena Lewis Tate was born January 3rd, 1871. You have to look her up, Andrew. Too much to write on here. Okay, William. Sometimes that's all you need to get us interested and enough to do a little bit of Googling. And you know Andrew's a good researcher, so we'll see next Sunday when you come in live if he got any of the research done on that. That's funny. That's funny. Next Sunday, like I said, we don't have a big show and tell next week. I am really trying. I'm failing a little bit, but I'm trying. And I suspect I'll get a little bit better as we go along. Every time I go to the grocery store, every time I go to the department store, I always make sure that I pick up stuff for my trip. And I just brought one to my desk. Oops, I just turned something on. Um, I maybe I didn't. Those sesame snaps. I like sesame snaps when I'm on the road. I like cheese balls and crackers when I'm on the road, and I like my Tim Hortons coffee, and I like grapes. Right, I like grapes. Yeah, it's going to be a great trip. I am sorry at the moment if me running on fumes, right? Wasn't on the ball in coming in tonight. But you know what? We made it, right? Because it's just in that committing to make sure that you show up in whatever you're going after and whatever you're moving towards, right? Yeah. I'm going to enjoy my air conditioner. I think for some reason it just might be working okay tonight. I think it's because it's starting to cool off a little bit. Let's say our good nights, you guys. Thank you so much, Dave. If you pop in later, I hope you're having a great week again. Rob and Sharon, Kathy, you guys have an amazing week. I'll be back next Sunday. I'll actually be back Monday, tomorrow, choosing another word. We're going into our 50th word. 5 more weeks. And we are done at this stage of putting our deck of 54 powerful words together. So yeah, it's exciting. It's not sad because we're moving into something else. I'll have a week to work on my trip, to be with myself, make some of those decisions so that my trip is over and done with, that we're moving directly into the next stage of some of those dreams, goals, and ambitions, and those things that we want to move towards, right? I am the evidence in my own life, 100%. Everybody, have a great night. See you next week.